Welcome, fellow sapiens, to a journey of self mastery and success for a person living in the modern world. Today, we are diving deep into the world of procrastination and uncovering a game changing strategy that will make it nearly impossible for you to procrastinate. Imagine this: you have a project due in a week, but the fear of not meeting expectations grips you. You keep telling yourself you will start tomorrow, but tomorrow turns into the next day, and the cycle continues. It's a vicious loop, and breaking free from it is crucial. If this is what your daily routine looks like, then, my friend, you have opened the right video, which will completely change the way in which your mind functions and make you hate procrastination. But before we know how to eradicate the deep roots of procrastination from your brain, we need to know the types of procrastination that an average Homo sapien usually experiences. So, let's quickly explore the different types of procrastination that many of us find ourselves trapped in. Number 1. Fear of failure procrastination. First up, we have the classic and the most common fear of failure procrastination. This occurs when the fear of not meeting expectations or the fear of making mistakes paralyzes us, preventing us from even starting a task. It's like standing at the edge of a diving board, hesitant to take the leap into the unknown waters of a new project. Number 2. Decisional procrastination. Next, there's decisional procrastination. This happens when we postpone making a decision, often due to the fear of making the wrong choice. It's that feeling of being stuck in a limbo, unable to move forward. Think of it as being at crossroads, but being unable to choose a path. Number 3. Perfectionism procrastination. Then we have the most dreaded type of procrastination, that is called as perfectionism procrastination. This is when the pursuit of perfection becomes a hindrance, leading us to delay tasks because we want everything to be flawless. It's akin to an artist endlessly refining a masterpiece, never quite satisfied with the final strokes of the brush. This is like saying, I will only start to learn driving a car when all the streetlights of the city will be green. We keep waiting for such illogically perfect scenarios to happen, and as expected, they never do. Number 4. Task aversion procrastination. Adding to the list is task aversion procrastination. This occurs when a task is perceived as boring, monotonous, or unpleasant, leading us to procrastinate simply to avoid the perceived discomfort. It's like putting off doing your taxes because, well, who enjoys that? The 15-second rule. Now let's talk about the 15-second rule, a simple but powerful technique that can transform your approach to tasks and make procrastination a thing of the past. This technique includes 3 basic steps that seem to be pretty obvious when you hear them for the first time. But once you start applying it in your life, you realize it is worth the effort you are putting in applying the rules day in and day out. We will also delve into the fascinating world of neuroscience and explore how the 15-second rule works to rewire our brains and defeat procrastination. To understand this, we need to look at the brain's prefrontal cortex, the epicenter of decision making. When faced with any task, the prefrontal cortex often gets overwhelmed, triggering the release of stress hormones like cortisol. These hormones can lead to anxiety and, you guessed it, procrastination. But before we start discussing the steps, please mind giving this video a like as it boosts its reach, subscribing to this channel and turning on the notification bell to not miss out on more such informative videos on how to be a better sapien. Anyways, moving on. Step number 1. Identify the task. In step 1, you need to identify the task you've been putting off. Whether it's a work assignment, a personal project, or a simple household chore, it doesn't matter. Identify it and break it down into very clear small goals. By very clear, I mean ridiculously clear goals. And then focus on completing them one by one, instead of focusing on the total outcome. For example, if you are playing football, your main goal will be to win the game. But instead of focusing on winning, divide the task into small and clear goals, like dodging your opponents, then putting your ball in the goal, and focus on these instead, and the outcome of which will be you winning the game. This might sound hilarious, but trust me, Once you start doing it, your tasks start to seem reasonable and achievable. Now, as you identify the task, you activate the prefrontal cortex, bringing it into problem solving mode. Step 2. Count to 15. In step 2, you commit to working on the task for just 15 seconds. Yes, you heard it right. 15 seconds is all it takes. It's such a small commitment that your brain can't argue against it. The brain perceives this as a low threat situation. This short time frame helps override the fear response, preventing the flood of stress hormones. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Studies have shown that taking the initial action prompts the release of enzymes and neurotransmitters associated with motivation and reward, such as dopamine and norepinephrine. These enzymes make you feel good about the achievement you just unlocked and directs your brain into unlocking more such achievements, which will help it feel more good. And with time, your mind will start requiring more than 15 seconds of enzyme release to feel good, which will force you to work for longer duration of times to achieve the same happiness. This is the same effect that alcohol and other intoxicants have on your brain, but for a good cause and in a healthy way. Step 3. Momentum kicks in. And here's the magic. Once you start, momentum kicks in. More often than not, you'll find yourself continuing beyond those initial 15 seconds, because soon you realize that getting started is the hardest part. Once you start, the brain experiences a shift. Just like we discussed earlier, the release of these positive chemicals creates a sense of accomplishment, reinforcing a positive feedback loop. Research conducted by neuroscientists like Dr. Wendy Wood has demonstrated that small actions can lead to habit formation. And speaking of success, let's take a moment to look at some famous individuals who embraced this philosophy and became some famous advocates for the 15-second rule. Renowned entrepreneur and author Tim Ferriss swears by the 15-second rule to conquer the initial resistance of starting tasks. Even productivity guru Brian Tracy has spoken about the power of taking that first small step. If you want real-world examples, we have received incredible success stories from people just like you who implemented the 15-second rule. They have overcome procrastination and achieved things they once thought were impossible. Take J.K. Rowling for instance. The acclaimed author started writing the Harry Potter series by jotting down ideas on a napkin during a train delay. Those initial moments of creativity turned into a global phenomenon. So next time you catch yourself hesitating, remember the 15-second rule. It's a game changer that can break the chains of procrastination and set you on a path to success. The 15-second rule is more than just a time management technique. It's a neuroscientific hack that rewires your brain, disrupts procrastination patterns, and propels you into a state of action. If you found this video enlightening and want to be a better sapien, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing for more content on personal development, philosophy, and the pursuit of a meaningful life. And share it with friends who might need that extra push. Be sure to leave any other valuable suggestions you have in the comments below for your fellow sapiens on how to battle the procrastination patterns. Also be sure to check out these other videos on our channel that will help you be a better sapien. Until next time, remember to try these tips for yourself and let us know in the comments how the 15-second rule transforms your approach to tasks.